Welcome everyone to the Frings Movement podcast. Today's guest is a person that I probably don't have to introduce to anyone, Pere Coll. Pere is an elite calisthenics athlete from Spain who is mainly known for his crazy weighted calisthenics feats. Some of them are 110 kg pull-up, 140 kg dip, or 60 kg rings muscle-up. What's even more interesting is that before street lifting he achieved some incredible calisthenics skills that any bodyweight athlete dreams of. I first got in touch with Pere after realizing he subscribed to my YouTube channel, after which we followed each other on Instagram and the conversation kept going. I thought it might be a great idea and opportunity to discuss weighted calisthenics training tips from someone who achieved a complete mastery of this craft. The discussion turned out really great and I obviously recommend to watch or listen to the whole thing, but as always I provide you with timestamps so you can choose the most interesting and applicable part for you. Enjoy! Alright, so hello and welcome everyone to the Frings Movement podcast. Today we have a special guest, ladies and gentlemen, Pere Coll. How are you doing, Pere?
Thanks, Phil. I'm fine, thanks.
So, in case I'm pretty aware that most people know who you are, at least in this community, or people who follow me. But in case someone is not fully aware, could you describe who you are in a couple of sentences, if that's even possible?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Pere. I'm from Spain. Right now I'm 21 years old and I've been training calisthenics for 7 years now. And now I've been 2 years working on my weighted calisthenics, and I've been competing around Europe and etc.
Yeah, and it's not even mentioning. He's not even mentioning his achievements and stuff. So we're probably gonna go over it later on. But first before we start, because the general idea, the general plan for this podcast is to discuss the tips or the strategies or everything you would like to know as a weighted calisthenics athlete or street lifting athlete, if you will. And I think that there's no better person to talk about it than someone who has world records in certain lifts, who has 110 kilo weighted pull-up. I could not find a better person to talk about it. And so thank you so much, Per, for just agreeing to make this discussion, for taking your time. It's really appreciated. And so I wanted to ask before we start, how are you doing in these days? How is the situation in Spain in terms of quarantine? Gyms, are they open or?
So right now in Spain, we're not quarantined, luckily, but we're not doing very well. So right now the gyms are opened, but with limitations. So you need to bring the mask there, and you also need to book for the hours to go to the gym. So it's not being easy for us to train, especially if you're training for lots of hours, because you need to warm up and train and then do little exit of the warm up. So it's a little bit hard, but we need to train at home maybe, because in the gym it's not very great to train.
Yeah, and so you managed to train at home normally? We probably as we can see on the Instagram stories, and then probably it's all good in your case.
More or less good.
Yeah, that's great, man. So you mentioned you were training calisthenics for probably 7 years, right?
Yep.
So I guess we can start with the basic history behind your training, because many people are actually interested. You have some clips from older times where you were performing skills, very very difficult skills iron cross, planche. So I wanted to ask you about the history behind them. Did you train weighted calisthenics before at all, or is that something that you introduced after getting skills?
So for the most of the skills, I got them before practicing weighted calisthenics. So the first 4 years, I literally did not touch the weights at all. So I was just training in the park, body weight, and so that's it.
Yeah, so no like general exercises. And what did you do, for example, to achieve your first planche and iron cross, and how long did it take you?
Well, for the planche was a little hard, so maybe let's talk about the front lever, which was the first, even before the muscle up. Um, I was doing lots of pull-ups, and I was like trying to learn the muscle up, and also doing some front lever, like tuck front lever and one leg front lever. But yeah, basically repeating, and repeating, I got my front lever. At those times there was not many people practicing calisthenics, so I had no idea who to ask to help me learn calisthenics. There were no tutorials, no nothing. So I just went there and did what I thought it was, just
Yeah, that's
trying and
crazy.
trying
So,
and trying.
so you actually learned front lever without any like direct practice, like just trying basically, right?
Yeah, just basics and trying. Yeah.
Yeah, that's sick, man. Do you have some sports background that could help you actually, like with your pulling, for example?
Yeah. I was about to tell that I had been a swimmer for like maybe 8 years at that time. So, like 8 years swimming, so you're more or less like fit.
I grew up doing a lot of swimming and any kind of sport.
I used to be a competitive swimmer from age like pretty early, the standard competitive age, like 8, I'd say, till I was like 19. Let's say that
Strong back, so yeah, that helped me a lot.
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna, make studies in the future. Like after graduating, I'm gonna make a study about swimmers and how swimming correlates with calisthenics, or at least pulling in calisthenics, because I know so many people who just transitioned, from swimming to like calisthenics. Both Davide, like many people who I also interviewed. And they all have in common that one thing, that they started with swimming and now they do have like front levers or pull-ups. This stuff comes much easier to them.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So in terms of like iron cross, what's the story behind iron cross, for example, and planche? These, because these skills are more, maybe, let's say, difficult for most people.
Yeah, for most of the people, yes. But there's also lots of people who find planche way easier than front lever, which is something also interesting, because for me it's completely different. It's basically the opposite.
I do.
But
yeah.
But for the iron cross, I just practice front lever a lot, pull-ups a lot. And one day I went to a gymnastic gym here near my town. We don't have gymnastic gyms in my town. And there I just tried the iron cross, and, I more or less did something decent, but for like, 2 seconds and with a very bad grip, because that for the iron cross you have to like false grip the rings. And it was like with like normal ring grip. And afterwards I bought a pair of rings and I started going to the park and putting them on a tree and performing some muscle ups there, pull-ups there, dips there. And I just practicing more. I got the iron cross. All that was in a period where, there was no Instagram accounts, calisthenics, and no nothing. Even me, I would not post anything. I would just go there and train.
That's sick, man. Like, again, I'm actually very surprised that that's how you got some of these skills, without some very specific, dedicated training to them, but with kind of like more general approach. It's very fascinating in a way.
Yeah, but for the planche, for example, I did the specific work. A lot of tacks, a lot of banded work with the planche. But I never got that strong planche I wished to get. I would always get like 5-second planche and nothing more, which was a little bit frustrating. But yeah, probably I would have need more like dips work and more like basic work for the planche. But that.
Okay. So that's so the planche is a bit more difficult for you. So you seem to like gravitate more towards pulling skills.
Yeah. Of course, yeah, sure.
And that probably also transitioned to the weighted calisthenics. Yeah, so weighted pull-up is your stronger side than weighted dip, or would you say that they're kind of similar?
Yep, more or less similar, but the pull-ups are are a little better. Especially the muscle up. I think I have strong muscle up. But the dips. I've never trained dips for a very long time because I always have problems with my chest because it's really demanding. So you probably, if I train dips as much as I train pull-ups, maybe I would be like even. But yeah, for the moment, my pull-ups I think are better than the dips.
Okay, yeah, I understand. So let's maybe transition to more specifics in terms of your training with, street lifting. So when you started, was that like, did you have certain program that you followed, or was it like just straight adding weight, adding reps? What was your method?
Yeah, when I started, I just adding weight, no program, no nothing. I just went there and did what I felt to do that day. So yeah, basically no plans at all. I just started like that. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And for example, now did your attitude like change or is?
Yeah. Surely. Like I started training with a training partner, and he was like really programmed, really planned. And I just basically started training with him, and I learned to plan myself and the importance of having a programmed workout, for example.
Okay, great. So let's talk about it. So what, for example, right now with your knowledge and with your experience, would you advise, for example, certain form of periodization, meaning that you vary, the intensity, the weights that you're using, the stuff, would you recommend this stuff like from the beginning, or when someone is stalling, or do you do it right now? Maybe tell us something about periodizing your training. Do you do something of this nature?
So maybe if you're a beginner and you're starting, I think a direct periodization, like from 0 to periodization, it's maybe too much because it's like you don't have many options in a periodization training. So maybe like starting adding a few exercises which are like locked or compulsory in a training, it's fine. But also giving the freedom to do a little bit of whatever you feel more to do that day, it's good at the beginning, and then starting adding more like strict rules on your periodization. And right now I'm just doing the typical linear periodization separated by blocks. I've never tried the undulatory periodization, but I don't think it's a bad option. It could be great too. So yeah, basically all I've done till now is like linear periodization.
Okay, and linear, you refer more to like just progressing by adding linearly, and then when you stall, then you change either the variation or you go back with higher reps, or do you mean that you specifically increase the weight, decrease reps, and then come back with just more weight? Could you just give a simple example of how that would look like, maybe through a couple of workouts, couple of training sessions?
Yeah, so basically within a block you have like the starting block would be like more like volume, where you have more reps and lower weights. So then you move to like more intense block where you like lower the reps and higher the weight a bit. So and then within the week, obviously you don't increase the weight every day. So there are like more like volume days and more intense days where you vary the weight. So that would be like a little undulatory periodization within a linear periodization. So yeah, but the reps thing, yes, I vary them depending on the block I am in.
Okay, so for example, when you do your like starting block, when you do more volume, how does your workout looks like in terms of, for example, a pull-up? You start, for example, what kinds of reps you're doing?
So, for example, for a volume period, I would start for maybe 8 to 10 repetitions range. With a weight I know I can complete it with ease. Let's say maybe two reps on the rear two, for example. So 2 reps left.
Okay.
So yeah, from that point I can start like I can evaluate how I am and how the the sets were, so I can start adding more weight week to week.
Okay, so for example, you do this training once a week and then you add weight to it?
Yeah, for example, the next week I would add some weight, depending on the previous week.
So for example, like after this kind of, as you go through this stage, does the training get heavier in terms of like these reps in reserve? So you have less and less, actually in reserve, and the reps are, so you go more like closer to the failure as the weeks go by?
I usually tend to end the training blocks at really low rears, maybe 1 or 0. Because I aim higher, and you cannot aim higher and leave lots of repetitions in reserve, because then I just feel that I'm doing not much. Although it could be a good work to leave some reps in reserve, but I like to go to 1 to 0 rear range.
Yeah, okay, I understand. So do you do some sort of, for example, auto-regulation that when you feel worse during this day, you cut some weight or you cut some reps?
Yeah, but really exceptionally, I usually try to be good in the trainings, and I have my programming and I have to follow it. But there are days that it's impossible, maybe because you had bad sleep or you couldn't eat before the training or whatever, and you need to lower the weight and just do it with lower weights. With every training counts here. So
okay.
Yeah, but never on the opposite. So I never add more weight than I should. Never in the opposite.
Okay, so you in general try to remain very strict with your programming. So what you have written, you try to follow it, but if there's very heavy day, then you're gonna reduce it.
Yeah, okay. If I think I cannot compare it because of my state, yes.
Okay. What I'm gonna ask right now is, because you talked about, for example, this volume state, right? And how long this stage, for example, takes in your case?
Maybe 1 month and a half.
Okay, so 6 weeks around.
Yeah.
And then you go straight to the strength phase.
Well, but not heavy strength. It's not that heavy jump. I just step by step. I do a phase of more volume strength, mixture.
So you go with volume, for example, for 6 weeks, and then transition, and then strength stage. Okay.
Maybe, yeah.
That makes sense. And do you do some sort of peaking if you actually compete during this time?
Yeah, maybe that at the ending of a training cycle, I would do picking or tapering, depending if you have a competition or not. But yeah, I like to test my max repetitions. But in theory, in the heavy weights phase, you should be hitting new PRs or really close to new PRs in terms of repetitions in your basically training sets.
Oh, I understand. So because I actually had this question written, as you probably saw, yesterday I showed you. I wanted to ask, for example, when you have these posts, or when you have your these attempts of beating some records, stuff like that. I understand that it's maxing out, but it's not programmed. It's just you feel stronger this day, and you just try, for example, some crazy number. Or some very heavy muscle up, or is that programmed actually into your training? I wanted to ask.
So for example, I posted something of doing 4 muscle ups with 40 kilos.
Exactly.
Few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So that one, for example, that day I had to max out the muscle up. It was written, and I was just focused on that day, and that day arrived, and I just did it. It was not that I started training and thought, oh, let's just do some muscle ups. It was programmed that day. But also It was a really good day. I was feeling great that day. So it both combined and, obtained a good result. Yep.
So you plan your maxing out your tests.
Strength. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's even greater to hear, because people, for example, see those attempts and they think that it's just extreme feat of strength, but it's actually all like planned, all like scheduled. You've been building up to this process for like some longer period, and this day like supposed to be your maxing day, and you were supposed to hit these numbers. So it's actually a more like smart type of attitude than just trying this stuff out.
And there's something I did wrong that I want to mention, just if people tries that, and just to avoid that. I had that day to do the muscle ups, and then I had the pull-ups on Friday. So that same week I had to like the muscle up max out on Monday, for example, and the pull-up max out on Friday. So, and what I did, it was in Monday I felt great, super good. The muscle ups were great, and then I just waited for Friday to do the pull-ups. It was a really bad day. The sleep was really bad, and I did not get a new record. And maybe I should have done both in the same day. Maybe if on Monday I am feeling great on the pull, maybe I should have done the muscle ups and then try the pull up. That's something I regret. I should have done this. So maybe if you are feeling super good on a max out day, maybe try to max out both the pulling exercises on the same day.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we're gonna go over, the relation between like muscle ups, pull ups, and everything in detail. But I'm glad you answered that, because for me, for example, that was very interesting. Your attitude towards maxing out. Okay, so I think that we can go to something that is probably also very related to what we already talked about, but I wanted to ask in specifics. For example, a person wants to start, for example, let's say that someone has already built some base with bodyweight exercises. He has some pull-up number of, for example, 7 reps, max pull-ups, 10 dips, some push-ups, and he wants to specifically go, be another Pere Coll. He wants to do calisthenics, like weighted calisthenics. He wants to, in the future, compete in street lifting. What would be your advice to this person from the very start? Like what kind of program should he use? How strict should he be about the exercises? Should he be very specific? Should he already like do weighted pull-ups and like dips, or should he do like other exercises as well? And what kind of like rep ranges? How many days a week? Some general information for a beginner.
So the first thing would be like to find good habits. For example, a proper warm-up. It's really important, and it's good to start having those habits from the beginning. Maybe in the beginning it's not that important because you're not performing that super huge challenging of lifting heavy weights, but it's also good to build them then, because afterwards you will lift those heavy weights for you, which it's necessary to be either in a good warm-up. And about the other questions, it's good to find a training schedule that basically is good for you, fits you, and you can follow with ease. You don't need to like feel super stressed about the training, because then it's like the training starts being something compulsory and something you have to do, and you have to enjoy the training. So starting not very strict is a good point to start. And then you need to like find the objectives you want to achieve. Maybe you're more like into weighted calisthenics person, so you want to max out your 4 lifts, for example, or maybe not squat, just the pure calisthenics lifts. Or maybe you also want to add some more tension, so you want to have both tension and weighted calisthenics. So that's an important thing to have in mind, because if you want to max out your lifts, you're not going to do the same training as if you want to have a good tension or a good static skills in calisthenics.
Yeah.
So and then depending if you want to max out your lifts in weighted calisthenics, then probably you should like start working a bit with some weights, just to feel used to the belt, to the bringing weights, to the lower rep range. But I would not stop the bodyweight exercises if you're a beginner.
Okay. Okay, so you would still like continue with normal pull-ups and dips, or would you like do more specific work for the skills? Would you advise that to a person that starts like specializing in weighted calisthenics?
Yeah, maybe I would like the main part of the training would be with the weights. So maybe pull-ups with the weights, or some dips with the weights or whatever. And then I would keep also the body weight part, yes, at the, but more like in a secondary part of the training. But yeah, I would still keep it.
Yeah, because that would make, for example, you different from other athletes who have like different, priorities. But also it's also dependent on their strength levels, because what you do, for example, is you start with weighted calisthenics and then you do the like front lever, right? For a normal person, that's first of all not logical, because the skill is more like in general demanding, for the body, and like it's more specific, skill. You have to be like more mentally prepared than to do more simple movement. And secondly, most people are just not strong enough to do any front lever work after weighted pull-ups, but you do the opposite actually, right?
Yeah, I usually add some front lever work at the end of the workout, basically because for me doing a front lever, it's literally, it's nothing. I just need to like pull a bit and I'm in the front lever position and holding it for 20-25 seconds. I can, I don't need to stress much to hold that. So that's why I can just add it at the end of my workout, because I can always perform a 20 seconds front lever at the end of my workout, for example.
Okay, but for example, if someone is not as strong as he probably isn't if he's watching this podcast, there is a high chance, that he's not as strong as you. So yeah. Would you go, even though he wants to specialize in weighted? Would you like add thing like front lever before weighted calisthenics?
Well, that you can maybe like do 2 separate days, or maybe start one day with a front lever and then go for the pull-ups, and another day start with the pull-ups and then go for the front lever, even if it's with a band or one leg or two or whatever. So, well, that depending, if you really want to have that front lever, if you wish more to have the front lever more than the pull-ups, then maybe you can like start always with the front lever and then go for the pull-ups, or the other way around if it's the other way around.
Okay, so that's actually something that I wanted to ask you. The next question is, do you think that it's possible to achieve front lever and one arm pull-up / one arm chin-up only with weighted stuff?
I would say 90% yes. Working with the weights gives you lots of strength. For example, if you're doing weighted pull-ups, you will do good with front lever. So, but you also need that 10% of a specific work for the exercise. So if you have been, for example, working with pull-ups for a year and you've never tried front lever, the form is not going to look core. You need some core work, for example. So yeah, you need like to that small specific work in order to achieve the front lever. About the one arm pull-up, it's tricky to do one arm pull-up, because I know many people who can pull lots of weight with both arms, but then if they go one arm, they cannot even reach the 90 degrees. So yeah, you also need to work for the one arm pull-up. I would say it's more important to work for the one arm pull-up than for the front lever if you're working with weighted calisthenics. I think it's more difficult to learn.
That's super interesting for me. I actually thought it was the opposite, because I actually know a lot of people who are the opposite. So who they achieved one arm pull up despite not having like 100% body weight pull up or 90%. If you exclude the the hand and the forearm, so you're pulling up like your whole body except the forearm, it's like, I don't know, 95% of your body weight. So you should be able to do one arm pull up having the 95% body weight plus pull up. But there are people that can do it with 70%. And it's also very surprising for me that you said that the front lever is more responsive exercise, that you can achieve it with only weighted pulls. It's something super interesting for me, because it's it's less specific to the pull-up than one-arm pull-up. But yeah, if you want to add something.
But for example, the thing you mentioned about 2 arms or 1-arm pull-up, for example, lifting 100 kilos with both arms doesn't mean you have a pull-up of your body weight plus the weight you, like, for example, if I weigh 80 kilograms and I can pull 80 kilograms for 1 rep, doesn't mean I should be able just to do 1 rep with one hand, for example. You will probably do more than 1. So you don't need like a body weight pull-up plus. So you don't need a 80 kilogram pull-up to do 1 arm pull-up,
Yeah, I understand. But did you find some certain number, for example, that works?
I have no idea.
Okay. Yeah, because
it would be nice to study, to do some research about that. It would be cool.
Yeah, that's another, maybe the point that I should get interested in. I'm never gonna achieve 110 kilo pull-up, but I may do some research, on that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, these people are also important.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask you about because how was it in your case with one-arm pull-up?
I have videos of my first day doing 1-arm pull-up. I think I have a video on Instagram where I appear when I was a child and now. So when I was starting and now. And I could basically go, for example, let's say from here to here, no more. So the elbow wouldn't even reach the 90 degrees. And yeah, that was it. And then I remember I started doing more pull-ups, and doing 1-arm pull-up work, like, some negatives with 1 arm. And, and one day I managed to do the first 1-arm pull-up, and which I think it was like a chin-up, not a pull-up, because I think a chin-up with 1 arm is easier than a pull-up. And, from there I just kept doing some pull-ups with weights, and my 1-arm pull-up kept increasing.
Okay, yeah. So I wanted to ask, because you mentioned the chin-up versus pull-up. Did you ever seriously trained chin-ups or weighted chin-ups? No, at all.
No.
And did you test it? Did you test it, or there's some specific reason for that, or you just don't like it, or?
I don't know. I like doing pull-ups. I have tested doing chin-ups, yes. But some spare trainings, maybe I add some exercises for chin-ups. And it's like if I wanted to implement chin-ups on my training, I would need to change a lot of things of my training, because now I'm focused on the pull-up, not the chin-up. So yeah, that would be like a big change of my schedule. And I've tried the neutral pull-ups on the rings, where you start like a pull-up and then you rotate to neutral.
Yeah, then you supinate.
So yeah, they worked well for me. I think I improved with that a lot. So yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea to add some chin-ups on your training. It could be good, actually. But I just never did. I'm working with pull-ups or neutral pull-ups.
So regarding that, it's interesting because in most cases, chin-up is stronger than the pull-up, right?
Yes.
For example, in my case, the chin-up is weaker than the pull-up, but it's because of the injury that I went through. I had the tennis elbow that basically did not let me, do any chin-ups for like 2 years even. So I did not do it because it caused some pain. So now naturally the pull-up is stronger. But if you take like both people if you take a person and he does both chin-up and pull-up, then almost like always chin-up is going to be stronger. So you say that at that very specific level, at that very high level, the more you have, the more you have to like be specific, right? So for example,
sure.
Your chin-up has to be trained specifically if you want to compete in the chin-up. And I know that there are these competition, because I know people that competed in chin-ups, for example, in weighted chin-up, and it's different than in street lifting. In street lifting, I understand there is no chin-up competition.
Actually, you can choose where to do a pull-up or a chin-up in a competition.
Oh, and do you know like most people choose pull-up or the chin-up?
Chin-up.
Oh, yeah. So I did not know that. Yeah.
Yeah, for example, my chin-up is weaker than my pull-up for sure, basically because I haven't trained it specifically. But who knows, maybe if I start training it specifically, I would improve. I don't know. I have no idea. But right now I'm sticking with my pull-up.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to ask about the muscle ups right now. So I wanted to ask about the relation between the bar muscle ups and the pull up. So I understand that you competed in both of these lifts, and how do they like correlate with each other? Can you, for example, improve at muscle ups like significantly without training them specifically and doing just pull-ups, and the other way around? And do you have to always do muscle ups before your pull-ups?
So about the first question, I think that to improve, if you're a beginner, you can improve your muscle up by just improving your pull-up. But if you are more like into a higher level or medium higher level, you need to train specifically for the muscle up, basically for the technique, because muscle up is a very, very technique exercise. And, improving a bit your technique will make you improve with your weights without being you stronger, just by improving the technique. So yeah, I think that for the muscle up, you really need to practice the technique if you are like in a higher level. For example, me, I've been working for my muscle up technique for maybe a year without doing specific muscle up strength work, just doing normal pull up work.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say the technique is the most important thing here. And about the second question you mentioned, which was that?
Yeah, it was, do you always do muscle ups before pull-ups?
Yeah, if I had to choose, I would always add the muscle up. Yeah, I do. I put the muscle up before the pull-ups always, because doing a muscle up makes you tired, but do you require a lot of power to the muscle up? And if you add the pull-ups first, then you're tired, so you cannot exert that power. But if you do the muscle ups first, then you can you have the power, but you don't need that much strength, so you have the strength left for the pull-ups. Mm-hmm. It's weird, but I've tried both ways, and literally, if I do the muscle ups after the pull-ups, my muscle ups are horrible. So okay. I needed to add it first. Yep.
So do you have some standards regarding the technique? Because you mentioned it's very important, and I totally understand that. But is how much difference does it makes on your level? Because in my case, for example, probably my max muscle up was with I think 18 kilograms in the past with bad form. So in my case, it was still important to feel that right moment of pulling. But when you go as high as 40 kilograms, I understand that it's mandatory, that it's just crucial part. So did you actually miss some lifts because of the technique?
The thing here is about if the muscle up it's not valid, because with bad technique, with a little bit of keeping, I can lift 50 kilos, for example. I've done that on trainings. Just I did not show it because I don't like showing my exercises with bad technique. And if you try to keep a good technique, then you need to practice a lot the technique in order for it to be efficient, in order to hit the competition rules, but also to complete the exercise. If I fail a muscle up right now, it's because I'm not strong enough to lift it with good technique, because I know I can lift it with a bad technique, for example.
Okay. And what about rings muscle up? I understand that, for example, your attempt from 2017, I think that the 60 kilo muscle up, which is a world record, probably till this day, yeah?
No, I think someone beat it from Russia.
Okay.
65 kilos, someone, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, but you know what, because that was something you did not train at all, I understand. Yeah, and you just grabbed the rings, and tried it. You have the video on your channel. We're gonna link it obviously below if you want to see that. But So the ring muscle up is something that does not correlate as much with like pull up or bar muscle up. Is that like much different for you?
I would correlate it with, I think, a pull-up more than a bar muscle up, because you can like ascend vertically. You don't need to like skip the bar or anything. So yeah, I would correlate it with a pull-up.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I would like to ask about the accessories for the weighted pull-ups. So many people know that you do weighted pull-ups. Actually, probably everyone. Many people know that you do muscle ups, and all of them weighted. But what other things do you do to improve the pull-up, if there's anything that you do? So are there certain exercises, some rowing variations, maybe some bicep curls? Do you do some, paused some paused pull-ups, anything of that nature?
Yes, I do. For example, paused pull-ups or eccentric pull-ups or middle paused pull-ups. Are very common. But also, I like to row. I do some rowings, or for example, one arm pulls, for example, in a machine, or bicep curls, or I add some accessory exercises of this type on my training.
Okay, so let's go a bit more specific. So with these paused pull-ups, what are the variations that you would, because there are many exercises that you could do on the pull-up bar. There are, for example, the variations of sternum pull-up or scapula pull-up, so basically making the pull-up harder by only manipulating with the scapula position, for example,
Yes.
being in an arch and pulling to the sternum. So this is the one way to make pull-up harder or to add some variation. The second way would be to just go for the one-arm pull-up variations. And the third way would be to add some, some pauses, some eccentrics, some, dead stop. So what are your favorite ways to manipulate with the technique?
Usually I use a lot of them. I don't only use one. I like to do some arch pull-ups. It's hard for me to maintain the retraction. But also I like to do the middle paused pull-ups, where you like pull till the 90 degrees and then you finish the pull range, and then you can go back to that position or go back down. Because the same thing, you in the middle, you need to like re-accelerate in order to go up, while maintaining the retraction and scapular depression. So that's challenging, and that's the thing I think people fails the most, the top part of the pull-up, where you lose the retraction and you basically don't reach the height. I work a lot on that.
Okay, so you choose these two, right?
That would be maybe my favorite.
Okay, so these are your
because
favorite.
I need to improve on those parts of the pull-up. Maybe someone have other problems, maybe in the bottom part of the pull-up, so he needs to like find other exercises to improve that part of the exercise.
So at what level, or at which level would you advise to actually seek for some sort of like weaker point in your pull-up?
Like normal level, but maybe a point where you're stuck or you are like, you're not improving. So maybe it's time to have a look on your technique, record some videos of you sideways, in the front, from every angle, and have a look at what could I improve on the technique and which is my weaker point, to improve.
Okay, so in your case, it's the top part of the pull-up, right?
Yeah, the upper part is the worst. Like I can lift 120 kilos till 90 degrees, but then like passing my chin clean, it's not possible because I just lost the scapular position at the top part.
Oh, and you do, and to strengthen this point, you do, for example, the arched pull-ups and the middle paused pull-up. And for example, if someone has the problem with initiating the pull-up, with starting the rep, what exercises would you advise to do?
Probably some high pull-ups would be good because you need to like start pulling really, really fast. So you
Okay.
have that mentality of starting really, really fast. High pull-ups would be a good one. Um, Also, there's an exercise where you like tie yourself to the ground, um, and basically then you are stuck, so you cannot pull higher, and you can like select the point of the pull-up where you want to be stuck, and there you pull as hard as you can. I used that in the past, and it was a good exercise. So maybe you could also try that in the lower part of the pull-up.
Oh yeah, so you just, so for example, you choose the position and you make it impossible to pull from it. So you
Yes,
just like pull against the bar only without any movement.
like isometric pulls. Yeah.
Okay. And did you maybe try like doing very heavy eccentrics?
Very heavy eccentrics. Like more than my maximum, or like lower than my maximum?
Yeah, I mean like supramaximal eccentrics.
No, never, because I'm afraid of injuries. That's something, doing that exposes you to a high risk injury. So yeah, I've never tried that.
Yeah,
Never know.
okay. So we have the pull-up accessories for the pull-up. Now, what kinds of rowing movements do you prefer?
Usually do the horizontal rowing movements, whether with a single a single kettlebell, for example,
Okay.
or a dumbbell, and then the both arm rowing, but also horizontal with a bar, where you just bring the bar to the chest.
Okay, and did you do some, for example, tuck front lever pull-ups or advanced tuck front lever pull-ups, or you don't use them?
No, I don't usually add those exercises to my training, the front lever pull-ups. Yep.
Okay, yeah.
But could be great, maybe. I don't know, but it's just that I don't use it.
And do you do some bicep work?
Yes, not very often, but maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks, I try to add one bicep exercises on my training. Yep.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so we have a like basic, understanding of what you do for the pull-up, and now I wanted to ask this like the same question, but regarding the dip or the pushing exercises. So how is your pushing day look like, or how is your, if you do, for example, both on the same session, how this pushing part looks like of your training at the moment?
I usually try to separate the pulling and the pushing exercises into different days.
Okay.
I think it's more optimal for me to like focus one day on just pulling and one day on just pushing. And I have to say that I've not done heavy dips from a very long time now, because here at home I don't have any dip station and I cannot add more than 90 kilos. So it's not very good for the dips. But a push day would look like a lot of handstand push-ups. For me, that exercise is super crucial if you're a calisthenics athlete, and very important, doing the handstand push-ups. I even do them in the warm-up and also in the training, so I usually do them both.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would just go for some heavy dips and then some accessory exercises for the dips, such as could be bench press, for example. It's a good accessory for the dips. Maybe some overhead press, but if you have done some handstand push-ups, then I don't usually do both on the same day, because it's doing twice the same thing. Maybe you could like do some handstand push-ups using a step or something to make it harder or different, or pause hands push-up or things like that. And yeah, not many accessory exercises for the dips. Maybe some paused dips or tempo dips. So yeah, maybe that would be push a schedule.
Yeah, okay, I understand. Yeah. And so do you currently train your lower body?
Yes, I do. Actually on the pushing day, because squatting is pushing, so I put them both on the same day. So I would start like doing the dips, which is the less demanding exercises, believe it or not, and then the squats, where you basically die doing squats. So yeah.
So do you think that it's something? So when you prepare for your competition, do you train for some sort of competition right now?
No, not right now.
Okay, and do you have some plans in the future for that?
Yes, I want to compete, but right now the current situation.
Yeah.
There's a competition here in Spain in December that I'm listed to go to, but there's a big question mark on it still because we don't know if it's going to be possible or not. So right now I want to compete, but time will tell when the next competition is.
Yeah, sure. I want to ask about your general plans for the future at the end, but before that, I would like to get back because I asked originally because of the leg training question. So I wanted to ask, when you compete, do you also compete in the squat?
Yes.
Yes. So the squat is one of the competition lifts, and would you say that it's one of your weaker parts in the street lifting, or is that something that is just at the same level? Because I know some people, for example, have very strong weighted pull up, very strong weighted dips, but they cannot compete because they don't train their legs like at all. And
yeah. At the point where the squats is added into calisthenics competition, then the calisthenics athletes that have never trained legs, which is more or less common in the calisthenics community, then they have issues there. Basically because then there are lots of stronger leg athletes there that can squat a lot, and the squat is worth the same than a muscle up, for example. And then it's more worth to squat 150 kilos, for example, that working for a very heavy muscle up. So yeah, and of course the squat is my weakest point with difference, which has been decreasing the difference because I've been training squats, and maybe now I could move 180 kilos more or less. So it's not that bad.
180 kilos.
180 kilos, yep. So yeah, that's it. I'm working on it.
Yeah, it's maybe hypothetical question, but that's why I wanted to ask. So you said that the points in the street lifting are designed in a way that, for example, muscle up, pull up, and dip and squat are have the same value.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's interesting because you can find guys who pull huge squat numbers, and they could. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they could go to this competition, and without training much of the pull up and dip, outscore guys who are training only them and, dedicated years to them, because it's not as hard to add, for example, 10 kilos to your squat, even at it's not as, for example, as difficult as adding 10 kilos to your pull up at advanced level, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So the system is made like that because the idea is to be the four lifts are just as important. So if everyone is working squat the same, then everyone will have a strong squat, and then the difference will be on the other exercises. But I think that maybe the muscle up, for example, which is the exercise you lift less weight, it's underrated with this system. But yeah, again, at the point where everyone has the same squat, this problem should be fixed. But for now, there's that big problem with the muscle up, for example, where I don't know, in my opinion, it should not be valued the same as a squat, for example.
Okay, so you think that there should be some some other so the muscle up should be classified as, for example, times 1.5 scores, right, or something like that, because it makes sense for me as well. It's adding 5 kilos to your muscle up, and pulling world records in the muscle up should be valued very high, and it's not in comparison to the squat, where adding 5 kilos it's not as hard for most people. So I wanted to ask regarding the leg training. Do you think that bodyweight athlete in general And I remember, because I've been doing video on that, and you've been sending me some clips. That's how we originally like gained or had some contact. So I wanted to ask that, why, for example, or do you think that bodyweight athletes should train their legs?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So any like bodyweight athlete, even though he wants to only have his skill work?
Well, like training legs, maybe. I mean, it doesn't mean necessarily to try to max out your legs. You could maybe train legs just to some body weight exercises or with very low weights, just to keep them fit, but not them really big and heavy. Obviously, if you want to be the best at doing the planche or the front lever, you want your legs as small as possible. So then maybe just working them once a week with low weights could be fine. But some leg training would be good. Not only because you need to like compensate a little bit more, but also because you need to rest someday. So if you're doing legs one day, you're like resting the other muscles. So yeah, that's good.
All right. So another thing that I wanted to ask you is, I've been watching your interview on the Gore Nation, and you mentioned there about your usage of the creatine, and how because you gained couple of kilos, or like 2 kilos even, that really made the muscle up harder for you, or some weighted pull-ups, and that's why you, for example, don't use this particular supplement. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Actually, someone commented on that video and explained me that creatine does not affect to everyone. So there are people who just take creatine and they won't feel any effects. And maybe I'm one of them, because I was taking it and I did not feel anything. And when I stopped taking it, I did not feel anything again. So yeah, basically what it did was I retained more liquids. I was heavier. And then the body weight exercises where your body weight was important, which in case it's the pull-ups and the muscle-ups, decreased a bit.
Yeah, to my knowledge, it depends on your diet, and it depends also on like individual differences, how you respond to creatine. But that was also one of my concerns. At my level, back then, I should not be concerned, because at that level, I was like still pretty lean, and gaining 1 kilogram of intramuscular water would not be a problem. But the reason why I'm asking you is because if 1 kilogram makes, or 2 kilograms make such a difference in your case, and mind you, 1 kilogram or 2 kilograms of water, right? That should even increase your performance, if anything. I wanted to ask, how important is your body composition in your life, in your training? Do you very strictly, are you very strict about your keeping the body fat level at a certain level? Or is that something that you don't really care that much about?
I try to keep my fat level low, but my body does it not automatically, but it's hard for me to accumulate fat. But yeah, I try to eat as less fat as possible in order to keep me lean, because adding 1 more kilo in your body of fat will immediately mean that you're losing power in the muscle up and the pull up. Yes.
Okay, so for example, would you advise for like other people that, for example, start their calisthenics or start their street lifting? Would you advise to keep their body fat level all the time low?
No, not if you're a beginner. If you're a beginner, I mean, it's fine to have like a more normal body. But if you're in a higher level, or you want to compete, cutting a little bit on the fat percentage, it's good. because basically if you weight less, the pulling exercises will be greater. But again, for example, the squat, it's usually greater if you weight more. So also cutting the fat percentage may affect negatively on the squat. So yeah, you need to find the balance.
Yeah, so it's tricky to find out the good body composition because especially if you compete, like you mentioned, the squat relation to the muscle up, to the pull up. So would you say that muscle up is the one that really you sacrifice the muscle up the most by gaining weight, right? By gaining weight.
Yes. For me, for example, I find a big difference when I weigh 2 kilos more or 2 kilos less.
Okay.
For example, when I do PRs on muscle up, it's when I'm less heavy. When I'm heavier, literally my muscle up it's horrible. I don't have strength. I don't know what happens, but it has always happened to me. And yeah, the muscle up, it's the most affected with the body weight for sure.
And what is your body weight right now and in relation to the height?
Right now, I'm 1 meter and 80 centimeters tall, and my body weight is around 84 kilograms right now.
Okay. And when you did your PRs, your records, your PRs, for example, this 40 kilo muscle up, muscle ups, the 110 kilo pull up. What was your body weight back then?
Well, in the 40 kilograms muscle ups, it was a short time ago, so I was about 84.5 or 85 kilograms. So I'm a little bit under now, but the 110 kilograms pull-ups, I probably was like a 76 kilos, 77 maybe, basically because I had never trained legs before at that point. So my legs were not heavy, so I weighted less.
Yeah, so you did not train your legs before the 110 kilo pull-up?
Well, I was starting to train my legs back then.
And what made you make this decision? Was that the competition that the squat was added to the competition, or?
Yeah. That was the reason. One of the reasons that the squat was added to the competitions, but also because I wanted to be better at squat, and yeah, also my training partner was a great squatter, and he offered to teach me. So it was perfect for me to start learning squat. Yeah.
Yeah. So you did your squats, but did you start doing any deadlifts, for example?
Yes, I used to do deadlift in the beginning, not now, because as an accessory for the squat, for the squat, basically. Yeah. But now I don't add them because it's really demanding for your back, and it's too tiring doing pull-ups and deadlifts in the same training week, for example. And yeah, I don't want to sacrifice the pull-ups. There are other exercises not as demanding as deadlift, for example, for the lower back. So yeah.
Yeah. So I understand that when you were pulling off your bodyweight fits in the past, you were also not training your legs back then.
No. I started training legs 1 year and 3 months ago, more or less.
Yeah, because one thing that, for example, is interesting to me is there are people like you that started training their legs after getting some really good results with bodyweight or with street lifting, and then they started training legs, and they're pretty much able to maintain it, or not even maintain 100%, but even if they hold 90% of that, it's still a great achievement. And on the other hand, if you start with already bigger legs and already training legs with calisthenics, I found it to be much harder. I don't see many people who start their bodyweight journey along with training legs and they achieve so great results. I don't know why is that. Logically, it should not make such a difference, but maybe maintaining a skill is so much easier than gaining it that it's actually possible.
Yeah, maybe mentally, like if you know that you can pull 80 kilograms, if your legs are bigger, mentally you still think that you can lift it, and just that makes you lift that weight maybe because mentally you're prepared. I don't know.
Yeah.
That could be an option.
Do you think mental side of the training is something important to you?
Yeah, extremely important to you. For example, when we talked in the beginning of the podcast about if I had any specific days for the lifts, that's for the mental preparation. Maybe I go to sleep the day before and I'm like, okay, tomorrow I have to do my maximum muscle up, and I start thinking about the technique, about the process, about everything. So I'm mentally prepared the next day.
Wow, that's super interesting. So actually, you are doing some preparation. You are basically visualizing the movement, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, so it would make sense for you to split your training, in this way. So you split your training, like you mentioned, push and pull exercises, and that's probably one of the reasons, right? You cannot just focus so much on so many things at once on that high level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the reason. I need to be mentally prepared on every training. Yes.
Yeah. So in regards to the mental stuff, how about the competition? Do you find it's hard for you to motivate yourself or to prepare yourself mentally before, for example, heavy lifts? What's the story behind this 110 kilo pull-up, for example?
It's about motivation during the training and all this stuff. For example, on that time where I pulled 100. Do you want me to repeat that?
Yeah, I would like to. Sorry for that. Yeah.
No worries. I also have a cat. No worries. So, when I pulled the 110 kilograms, I was having really good trainings. I was motivated because 2 weeks after that competition, I had another competition in Vienna, where I was going with my training partner there, and it was a good moment of my life. I was really happy, and our trainings were really good, and all this made me be in a good way the day of the competition.
Top condition, basically, yeah.
Yeah, I was basically perfect, and and that competition, I had no pressure at all. At that competition, I just went there to test myself for the competition 2 weeks after, and I was feeling great. I warmed up great, and I just was feeling great, and it happened.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. So do you think that, like you mentioned, you had a great moment in your life in general? Are you responsive for this kind of things? Do you think that the psychological aspects of life and other things affect your training a lot? Because I know some people that are less and more responsive for that. So some people can basically take their training and treat that as totally independent thing, and some people are very responsive, are very their life affects their training very much, so they cannot focus so much if there's a lot of stuff going on. How are you in this sense?
So yeah, in this aspect, I'm more like I'm really affected about my whole life in general. So yeah, having a good day means having a really good workout probably, and having a really bad day or a really bad week will probably mean a really bad workout for me. Yeah.
So do you have some strategies of how to go about it? Do you just push through it? Do you try to just go if something, for example, worse happens or you're not in the mood, do you try to do your training anyways and just try to forget about it? Or do you treat your training like something that is almost like therapeutic, that helps you to, for example, with anxieties or with some mental or other stuff? Because I treat my training like that, for example, and that's the very positive side of training that is, in my eyes, underrated. People don't mention that much about this part.
if I'm having a bad day or a bad week, I usually change the training, especially if the training was really demanding, because I know from the beginning that I will not complete it. So I try to modify maybe the weights and maybe some exercises, and I just put my headphones on, the music, and I just train. So
Just go for it.
Yeah.
Right. I want to ask, because in the beginning I asked about the beginner and your tips for the beginners to start weighted calisthenics or street lifting, but from the perspective of like sport only. And now some people asked me, like on Instagram, when I announced that I'm gonna make a podcast with you, some people asked me if I can ask you about what to do if someone wants to start competing and getting in this community and getting start competing. What is the level basically that would allow someone to start competing, and how to even do that? Where to start basically? Where do you find your competition? Where do you find some people that train as well? And how would you advise for people who are beginners?
So basically, I think there's no minimum level to compete. Obviously, you need to be able to perform the moves you're going to compete on. So if you're joining a competition where you have to muscle up, you obviously need to at least muscle up body weight. But this sport is very young, it's very new. So it's the good part of that is that you can join any competition, and it's not going to be a major failure if your lifts are not great. Basically, because everyone is really friendly there, and it's like the sport is new. So if you're new to the sport or you're a beginner, there's no problem if you compete on it. So yeah, basically that's the thing. And then to find the competitions, what I would do, if depending on the country you are in, basically if you're Spanish, for example, and you want to compete in Spain, I would basically ask some athletes from Spain if they know any competitions, and then just look for some information about that competition, the dates and everything, and the level there. Maybe there are competitions where are open competitions where everybody can just join, or there are competitions where you need to send the videos and there are some requirements. So yeah, based on that, I would encourage everyone to join a competition if they are able to, basically because they will have the experience of how is a competition like, and they will have a goal. They know that day they have to do that, so they need to train for that goal, which usually encourages you to train harder. So yeah, that's probably my answer to that question.
That's perfect, man. Thank you so much for that. I'm sure it's gonna help many people who are struggling with just starting out, because always the beginnings are very hard in everything. So it's always good to have someone experienced tell you what he would do in this situation. So I would like to ask at the very end some questions regarding the future. So right now you are at the stage that you have your YouTube channel, right? And you post your videos. You've been posting more consistently in couple of months ago, right?
Yeah, I posted a lot in the lockdown because I had nothing to do at home. Basically, I was really bored, and I was like record some videos for the YouTube. But now that I have more things to do, I don't have many time to do the videos. But yeah, I would love to keep posting videos, but right now it's hard.
Yeah, I understand. But you do have some plans in perspective to do that in the future.
Yeah, basically the thing is that the sport and everything, I'm not a sports person certificate. I'm an engineer. I finished aerospace engineering some weeks ago. I did my final project presentation. So I need to my future, it's going to be around engineering, not around the sports. So now spending lots of time for example, developing my website, for example, or posting on YouTube or on Instagram. It's like more like in secondary part, not in the first plan of my life right now. So yeah, that might ask many questions. That's why I'm not posting.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Actually, I got some questions regarding your website as well. So do you? But probably that's the same question. You pretty much answered that as well. So you have some other priorities that took on right now, which is completely understandable. And that's also like great for me. For example, it's awesome to to hear someone who is who can be so humble, because you are at the stage, you're at basically the fitness level that is so elite that you could just tell everyone that you're an expert, in everything, and people would believe you. And for you to admit that you're not, for example, you're not like sports professional, or that you do some other things, that's in my eyes, like I do have like ton of respect for that, because yeah, most people would just would use that, and you're not a guy that has you're the guy that has the knowledge as well. You don't just train and achieve these skills, but you actually plan your training, you actually have the knowledge and experience. So big respect for that. But where do you see yourself in the future regarding the sport, the training part?
I want to keep like training weighted calisthenics for sure, and I will. But I know that there will be a point where I have to stop trying to go higher weights, basically because I will have reached my maximum, and then trying to be better than yesterday is going to be very difficult, and maybe that will, I don't want that to be my first priority of my life. There will be a point where I will just need to leave it a little bit apart, where I will keep training for sure, but not as hard as I did. So yeah, calisthenics I hope it goes along my life as it has done during those years. I don't want to stop doing it, but yeah, I think that's my future. We will see.
That's awesome, and that's also a very realistic approach. And like, mind you, guys that are listening, that how old are you? You're
21.
When you are, yeah, so you're basically of my age right now, and yeah, so we are because there comes the point when you, for example, have some sort of injury, or you cannot train, and then these thoughts come to you, that where is the time that you will not be able to progress? Where is the time where, for example, you will not be able to beat records all the time? So in your case, for example, do you think that there's certain age that in strength sports, I'm pretty sure it's pretty high up there, but do you think that there's an age that you are just less predisposed, or you just cannot achieve so much in weighted calisthenics because of your age?
Maybe not because of my age, but because of my situation. Maybe if I'm working lots of hours, or if I have I don't know, children or things to do, I won't be able to dedicate that much time to calisthenics. So yeah, I think that's the main issue probably.
Yeah, okay. And where do you see the history, or sorry, where do you see the sport of street lifting in the future?
I would rate it to the powerlifting future, for example. If you look at powerlifting now, that should be a great a great finishing point for calisthenics, for example. Same as powerlifting. That's not a recognized sport in the Olympics maybe, but yes, a global sport where you have competitions around the world.
Yeah, okay. And do you think that over the last years it made a big progress looking at it?
Yeah. I mean, calisthenics is increasing a lot, so we will see how it is in 5 years, for example.
Yeah, sure. And for sure, people like you are contributing to promoting this sport, this discipline, the street lifting and calisthenics. And so I would like to thank you very much, Pere, for the discussion, for the podcast. Once again, for agreeing to the podcast. The discussion was great. You answered the questions that many people wanted to ask you. Definitely when I'm gonna be editing this podcast, it's gonna be nice to listen out. Once again, thank you. And do you want to say something at the end? Where can we find you basically? Do you apart from the website and from your Instagram and from your YouTube?
So, well, I'm not a person who posts a lot of stuff. I like to train and not to post more. For example, Instagram, I may post some stories along the week of my trainings. If so, maybe not, who knows. But yeah, if you want to contact me, maybe the best way is through the Instagram chat, direct messages. I usually respond all the messages if there are interesting questions. If it's something stupid, I will not respond for sure. But that's.
Do you have some stupid messages?
Yeah. Like for example, typical message like, help me improve pull-ups and nothing else. It's like, what is that? Like.
Yeah, that's classic.
Yeah, classical message. Yeah.
So the Instagram, the YouTube that you may get more consistent in, but it depends on your situation, and the website that is basically the same. I'm gonna link all everything below in case people are not aware. And so one last time, thank you. It was a great discussion. It was a pleasure to have you on the podcast, and I hope we may talk once again in the future.
Yeah, maybe. Sure, I hope to. It was a pleasure talking to you. Yes.
Take care, Pere. Thank you.
Bye, thanks.